Hi, this is Eric Martin with Susan McKinley Ross, designer of Spiel des Jahres winner in 2011, Qwirkle. And she's here to show off the Qwirkle Big Box, a special edition of the game from Schmidt. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
So it's Qwirkle Big Box, and I know you've seen the big boxes before, and I know I've lusted after a couple of big boxes in the game stores myself. Oh, I want that. So this is Qwirkle Big Box. It includes Qwirkle and 2 expansions, 2 different board games, Qwirkle Connect and Qwirkle Select. So you can play Qwirkle, Qwirkle Connect, and Qwirkle Select all with this.
Okay.
And so you have your standard Qwirkle game.
A lot of air here, Susan. I gotta tell you.
You take that out and it'll pack up real nicely. Okay. So one of the things they included. Yes, we will need those.
Okay.
One of the things they included was a scoring track. So there's that, and we can keep score. And then there's 4 little scoring markers. So that's one part of it. And then the game part. Instructions. We don't need those.
But you already know this one?
I do! So, this board. There's not room for everything.
I can't stand there sitting here with your big box in my face.
Okay. We need the little wooden pieces. Okay. So this board is Qwirkle Select. And you put the boards together like this. They're double-sided, so the other side has Connect on it. And you put 1 token on each of the star spots. And then the gameplay starts in the center of the board. And as you build out, if you play a Qwirkle piece on one of these spots, you get to take the token. So then that's in your hand, and you keep playing, and you keep them. At the beginning of any turn, any of your turns, you can spend a token, turn it up so it's the white side's up, spend a token, and then you can take any piece off the board and add it to your hand.
So even if that breaks rows and does everything?
That breaks you. The exception is you cannot break a Qwirkle once a Qwirkle has been made.
Because otherwise you just
keep
slap it back in there.
Yeah. So we don't have that. So what you do is you're playing, and you've got all the pieces you need to make a Qwirkle, except you need a red circle. You spend your token, take the red circle off the board, put it in your hand, use it on the board, and score it. And that's what it adds.
So you are also limited in terms of the space here? Not that you...
limited in terms of the board. It adds a board to Qwirkle, which Qwirkle hasn't had before. So there you have to stop at the edges, which is different. Yeah.
And the competitive element. So you may make plays that are dumb, but in this case they get you a star. So for the future.
Well, yeah. These are very powerful, especially about 3/4 of the way through the game when there's lots of things to take. They're not worth anything at the end of the game. So I played my first game last night with this set, and I very sadly had a token left over at the end and lost by a few points. And if I'd spent my token earlier, if I hadn't been greedy holding on to it, I could have won. But I didn't. So you've got the element of trying to get to and trying not to set people up for these. So that affects the board. And then sometimes you'll have Qwirkles that you can't finish because they're off the board. So there's strategy with how to use the board to make safe plays also.
Are you telling me Qwirkle has strategy?
You already know that. And then obviously, well, you can't really change the board much by doing this, but the other side of the board has a game, and you can mix the 2 up.
Okay.
So.
See the other side.
So this is Qwirkle Connect, and you start with 24 pieces on the board. You put 1 piece on each of the black squares, and it is just random. Yep. And so the game starts with these 24 pieces. You'll have 6 on each board. And what you're trying to do, if you can, is connect them, because all the points on here are bonus points that you get. So if you play, for instance, a yellow square here, you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. You don't count it double, just counts 1. So that would be 5 points.
But of course, you could possibly go on here, green square, yellow square, it's under the...
Absolutely. If you can play, that's the move. So that's what you want to be able to see, is to look at all of this and see if I have a yellow square and a green square here, then I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're making these connections, and the board starts off in a very different way than Qwirkle normally builds, from the center out, and this time you're building from these inwards. And eventually you might get to these spots. This gets really dense, so you don't always get to the 2 spots, but they're worth 2 points at that point. And so it's just a different figuring out the puzzle of this as opposed to the regular Qwirkle puzzle. It's how can I maximize my points here at the beginning of the game, and how it builds out differently.
Now, I know I talked with you a long time ago about different versions of Qwirkle, or how it might be different, and I know I've mentioned like playing with 5 colors, 5 shapes, 7 colors, 7 shapes, and this and that and the other. And I remember initially, so you won Spiel des Jahres. I think the conversation that ensued a half hour afterward was expansions. We need an expansion. And you seemed reluctant or mystified at first.
Well, there was a sense of it's a complete game. What am I going to add to it? And I had some ideas, and I played with those, and I spent a lot of time on my back porch in the last year playing Qwirkle against myself with many different rules, attempts, and variations. And it took a long time to come up with something that felt like it added to the game. I tried lots of different things, and both of these I was very happy when I played them. I felt it was just, you had to think a little bit differently than you normally do in Qwirkle, but it didn't break Qwirkle or upset its natural balance, because when I think my first version of Qwirkle was, I think it was 8 shapes and 8 colors and 2 of each piece. It was either that or 9 shapes and 9 colors and 2 of each piece. So I started with that and got down to the 6 and 6 and 3, which feels very balanced to me. So I didn't want to mess with that balance in any way. And then I think now that I'm thinking of Qwirkle as a game system and how can you use these in different ways, I think my brain's getting used to this. I'm not sure.
What was an interesting failure in your efforts?
Gosh, there were so many. I don't know if any of them were interesting, though. I mean, I'd think of something and I think, oh, that's the solution. That's what's going to be fun, and I'd play it. Oh, Chris helped me make some different pieces.
Chris is your husband. We should mention it's not some random person.
So he helped me make some different pieces that we were playing with, and we both thought, oh, these are going to be so much fun. And I played with them thinking, they're really, really boring. And then Chris didn't believe me, and I didn't blame him. I was like, please, play with them, see if you can make them fun. And he spent an afternoon with them, and he came in, and he's like, that wasn't any fun at all.
So what were the pieces?
We're still hoping to make them fun.
Okay. So no hints on there. I can imagine, yeah, you can do domino pieces, you put all those together. And
Yeah, we've thought of all the different things, but double story, stack up upwards version of Qwirkle. You know, you can play on top of each.
Qwirkle cube. Yeah, this is a cube-ish. Yeah. Okay.
I've been a game designer and a toy designer for a long time, and just the exercise of having to think of how to change something, because normally when you're a designer you do something and you're done with it, and to go back and revisit it is a different muscle than I've been using in the 10 years I've been, had my company. And so hopefully that muscle's getting stronger, but it started off really, really weak. So it took a lot of different bad attempts.
I think you're also a game designer for a different market, like much more mainstream market that doesn't necessarily have an expansion. It may have a spin-off or something reused, but not on these lines.
Yeah, the market I'm in is less likely to do expansions. It's more like Apples to Apples is going to add a lot more cards than they're going to add a different way to play Apples to Apples, sort of thing.
Well, I mean, other things like fish sticks or something like. I mean, like that's pretty complete. Like
I don't want to think about that.
I don't know what else you would.
Skippity or, yeah, it would be hard to expand them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for the overview. Congratulations again on continued presence in the stores.
It's so amazing.
And mention right now, at least initially, this is available only in Germany, or only through Schmidt, only through select retail outlets that have a deal with Schmidt, I guess.
But hopefully the expansions, just the expansions without the big box, will be available in Germany. We're hoping next year, and we'll see what happens with an American edition too. It's all being worked out.
Thanks very much for your time.